Hey, we're here with Brad Rigney.
Yo!
Yo.
What's up, peoples?
So I hope you all brought good questions. But
I'm looking forward to fielding them.
yeah, he's gonna answer the crap out of them. But
Oh yeah.
first off, man, how'd you get started? Just practicing and doing
That's a
art
good
and
question. That's a real good question. Well, I'd like to, first off, thanks for having me on, man. This is I've been kind of loosely following the Crimson Daggers exploits, and I think the whole idea is really awesome. As we were chatting a little bit before we got started, and I love the whole idea behind it. I'm all about like the overbearing taskmaster, and totally answering the call, answering that inner beatdown that the taskmaster requires. The taskmaster requires blood, and I'm very happy to see that a lot of you have decided to enslave yourselves to him. And he will teach you much. He will teach you much indeed, that inner taskmaster. But like I said, I dig the Crimson Daggers. I think what you guys are doing is awesome. And it's a real privilege to be on, man. I'm excited to be been asked.
Yeah, thanks a lot for even being
pop on
here.
and do it, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, speaking of getting started and stuff like that. I mean, I've been drawing since I ever could. Since I was a kid. I think the first thing I drew was like a spider sucking somebody's head. I don't know. It's hard to. I mean, that's what my mom told me. It was like a giant spider sucking on Frankenstein's head. So I started pretty early, pretty much before I could speak, kind of thing. But to me, I don't know if that really matters or not. There's some people who kind of started drawing much later than that, and but really, I drew all throughout my young adult life. No training. I mean, I flunked out of every art class I ever took in high school. Actually, I flunked out of high school, and
Me too.
I feel bad. I hope he's still alive. If he isn't, God rest his soul. Jim Wheeler. He was my art teacher in high school, and if he ever hears this, I gotta apologize now. Sir, I am so sorry that we met at that unfortunate age. I mean that. Oh my God, that was impossible. But basically, without going on a huge self-referential tirade here, basically, I flunked out of any kind of schooling that I took in high school. And then after hormones hit, hormones and booze, then I was pretty much out of the drawing game for about 10 years. And after I decided to put them both down because liquor and women are evil. They're evil. They're wicked. I put them both down for a while and decided to get sober, which I still am. It's 13 years without drinking or drugs. And once I had moved from where I was, I basically moved to Boston and was in a couple of bands and stuff like that. And no, I'm not going to tell you what the hell it was because it was like shitty emo goth when emo goth wasn't cool at all. But so I fucked around there for a while and learned a lot of life lessons, which I personally think make you a better artist. Life lessons, but I don't know, that's a whole other subject. But basically, I got out of that whole I got out of that chapter of my life and moved down to Richmond, and I met up with basically some gamers. I had known a couple contacts down there from my days playing in a band, and they were pretty much my only friends. But kind of through them, I had met some gamers, and they're into role-playing games. And I used to play role-playing games like before the hormones kicked in.
Yeah.
I said, man, I used to enjoy the hell out of that stuff, so I'm going to start playing. But, long story short, I got exposed to role-playing games again, and it was like being introduced to a world I had left behind, and that world of imagination that that I don't ever want to pull my head out of now. I still live there as much as I possibly can. I got it basically drawing their characters. We play like Shadowrun and Legends of the Five Rings and games like that, and I draw their characters, and from there on, I started really getting into the art, and I started buying the game books, even if I didn't play the friggin' game, just because I liked the art a lot. And from there, it just I kind of was lit on fire from there, and that was about like 1998 that I really got into that. And after doing that for a while, I really the desire, that obsession that a lot of us begin to feel once you start getting your hands dirty with this whole thing, really started to take hold. And so I started shipping out stuff to back then there was no internet. Yeah, I come from the days of no internet, and you had to send portfolios off. So I sent a couple out, and that was definitely humiliating, big time, because my drawing exploits up until sending those portfolios out were I was living a real insular life. It was like whatever I drew, my friends loved. My family thought it was like better than anything in the world. Of course.
Yeah, I think we can all relate.
So I sent this. Yeah. So when I sent this stuff out, it was like I got smacked around like a $2 hooker. They took a look at this stuff like, so what were you thinking with this choice, and what is this? And no, I'm sorry, try back after a while. Use photo reference. Try using some photos. So after getting totally smacked around, I decided to put the pedal to the metal. At first, I was really pissed. When you first get those, when you start off and you get those ass blastings early on, you get mad, man. You really get pissed off.
Yeah.
And I decided that's when I kind of first discovered the power of the dark side. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I figure I'll plant the seeds there. And I started kind of then I really started busting ass on getting better, and then White Wolf hired me for a couple jobs, and I had a long, about 1 or 2 year steady, working straight. I mean, like literally working straight, and 7 days a week, 12 hours a day, drawing my balls off, and it was great. I learned a tremendous amount. A lot of the stuff I did was for Aberrant. I don't know if any of you guys know what that is. It's like basically a superhero role-playing game without the lame tights and capes and shit. It's a cool premise if any of you know what it is. If you don't, check it out. It's a pretty neat. Have you? The premise is pretty cool. It's like I think if I remember correctly, there's some huge, of course, conspiracy backstory as there is with all White Wolf games, but I guess the common knowledge is like what the media and the everyday people know, the backstory in the world is basically, I guess, some comet or something comes into the atmosphere, or something happens that reacts, some kind of radiation that reacts with a dormant node that every human being has. And it basically awakens like that dormant node, and people start, freaking out with all these crazy superpowers, and it's the White Wolf universe. So of course everyone starts factionalizing. The people who become mutated some people decide that they're more than human, so they don't have to adhere to the morals of humanity anymore. And just White Wolf does a great job of combining human nature with absurd power levels. And you play the game, and of course they usually degenerate into stupidity. But you got a good role playing group, you can have a lot of fun. But I'm totally digressing here. But that's basically how it started off. Role playing games, and then I kind of hit a wall with the drawing. I didn't know how to get better. I was making shit money doing interior grayscale stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, it's horrible money. I think the most I made was like $8,000, $9,000 a year.
That's a ton of work, too.
Yeah, I'm doing an assload of work, and it was great though. And those are some. I mean, that's a great feeling when you first start off, though, and you're constantly getting backed up with work, and you're humping, and you're getting better, and it's getting easier, and you're making breakthroughs. That's a great time. But I hit a wall because I'm self-taught, and really had no schooling, and I didn't know how to get better. I just didn't know how. I knew I had to change something, and I really was kind of getting into video game art, concept art, video game art. I had no idea that concept art. I don't even think it existed around this when I started getting really interested in it. At least conceptart.org. I started getting into that whole idea without it really being an entity yet. I decided I'm not going to say which school it is, for a couple of reasons. Just because I don't want to give them any press, and because it's also embarrassing as hell. Okay, I'm sure it'll leak out later or whatever. Only told a couple of people. Coro knows, bother him if you're really interested. But anyway, I went to one of those fly-by-night associate degree game schools that you see advertised. And
really?
Yeah. Just
don't like the commercials.
Just don't go there. Just don't go there. But I was thinking of, in my mind, I'm thinking, my drawing skills will translate into 3D. Now, granted, that's completely wrong, of course, as we all know. I didn't know that at the time, and I also was not at my peak. Like, I still had a lot to learn. I wasn't ready to come out of the gate yet. But it was the best $30,000 mistake I've ever made in my entire life. Because when I went down to school, the program in the school was complete bullshit. It was such a scam. It was such a joke. But I got exposed to conceptart.org. Like, you go through some preliminary shitty, stupid classes, and then there's a traditional art class, and that was the only thing I ever got anything out of. I forget the guys, Brian and Tom. I forget their names. Great guys. And anyway, there was a lot of money being put into the school, and they had all these fancy gadgets and bells and whistles and shit and shiny things, and I'm old and stupid, so I was like ooh. Anyway, they had this big projector, and they put conceptart.org, and this is when concept art had just started off, really. I want to say it was like around mid-2002.
Yeah.
The website had just gone up, and he showed a couple pieces of art. I wish the archives went back far enough, because I'd love to find actual pieces, but I don't know whether they were matte paintings or what, but he showed these beautiful, beautiful images of like these seascape, really sweeping, epic, like landscapes, like these basically like outcroppings of land on water, and there are these really gorgeous, like they're like temples and edifices that were made out of the rock or built into the rock. It was gorgeous concept work, and man, my fucking jaw just hit the floor, and I was like, oh my god. And then, that wasn't the epiphanies didn't stop there, because I really didn't even know stuff like this existed, and except in art books that I got when I was a kid, like Frazetta books and Richard Corbin, graphic novels and things like that in the 80s. I didn't really have any other experience of that other than like adult comics like heavy metal and that stuff. There wasn't such thing as concept art or game art back then. So this is the first time I was exposed to that, and then on top of that, and then he goes around the classroom and he's like, "What is this? Is this 2D or 3D art?" And everyone's like, "Oh, it's 3D. It's 3D and photograph and blah blah blah." He's like, "No, this is 2D art." And I was like, "Oh my god!" I felt like my brains were shut up the back of my head. I was like, "Oh my god, that's it." I was ready to pack up and leave right there. And I kind of knew what I had to do. So I left school. I came home and basically locked myself up in my parents' house until I got my own apartment, and drew for probably about 8 years straight, until I was ready to come out. I started getting into color.
What did you do while you were doing that?
I'm sorry?
What did you do while you were, like, all into it training?
Basically, I did a lot of studying. I got photographs, and this is really where, and I still use some of the, I'm self-taught, so I had nobody to bounce it off. All I had was pure enthusiasm and desire. And I loved movies. I was just going with what I love. I love movies, and I was drawing upon my favorite movies and basically digging up, like, movie stills.
Yeah.
Because I love the lighting, like John Carpenter, Ridley Scott, all their early 80s stuff, like Blade Runner, The Fog,
yeah,
stuff
that totally
like that.
Comes through.
Thanks, man. I'm glad it does. I don't want to straight up rip them off, but I try to let it influence what I do. And, but yeah, Ridley Scott and really, like, The Thing, the lighting in The Thing is really beautiful. 80s, from the 80s, really kind of like noir.
Yeah.
And Carpenter did a lot of, like, backlighting and, like, I want to say, goofy horror lighting, but the way he did it, I don't know, he knew how to do it. He really knew how to do
really
backlighting.
Make stuff like pop.
Yeah, I mean, like, and it's totally unrealistic. Like, if you watch The Fog,
yeah.
Like at the end when they're all walking in to get the gold from that preacher, and it's like, yeah, just put a fucking spotlight right there in the middle of the church. Just put it right there on the floor. And I mean, it totally doesn't make sense. But then you put, like, the fog comes in. It's like this glowing fog. That's probably one of the most gripping scenes in cinema, I think, is that scene when those. And the cool thing about it too, talk about, like, body language and posing and things like that. What an awesome scene you watch that pose, because they're all just standing there, completely, like, stiff. And, like, they're not really showing any emotion, but they're standing. All you see is, like, the glowing red eyes, and they're standing there in that fog, and they're all dead. But there's no lighting on the characters to show it. Like, you see a little bit of underlit skin or a little bit of, like, torn clothing, but very little is given away. But they're dead, and it's like, and I was like, that just punched me right in the balls. I was like, that is the shit right there. That's the shit. And I wanted to do that with my work. I think I over-describe a lot of stuff still. I still feel the need to kind of control what the viewer sees on a little bit. But anyway, it was that and stuff like Blade Runner, beautifully lit films. So I pulled a lot from like movie stills, and pretty much just trying to ape Frazetta and Corbin, who are still my huge heroes. That's basically how I got started, and that's kind of where I'm at right now. I still practice the movie stills. If any of you guys, the lighting is not correct, quote unquote correct or real life or whatever, but the lighting's cool, and I try and go for like a cinema lighting in my stuff. It's not realistic because some stuff is lit and you don't know where the light's coming from, but it's to make something cool in the background pop out. So that's basically where I started. Role-playing games and movies, and just my overwhelming desire to get better.
That's so cool. Like everything you just said, pretty much that's what I was thinking you were pulling from, but then it's just like, oh, well, definitely. I was just.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. You broke up there a little bit. I couldn't hear you.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Is it still breaking up a little?
Nope. No, I got you now. It broke up a little bit when you were talking now.
Oh, I was gonna say that the movie influences you were talking about definitely come through. That's like kind of cool because I was, that's what I figured you were doing.
Hey, you broke up again. I don't know what's going on, but I keep getting this weird digital feedback.
Oh, hold on a second. Let me hold on. I'm actually gonna type to you questions.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me bring that shit up.
Is that way you won't have to hear me at least, if it really isn't working.
No, I can hear you. It just sounds weird. I made out a little bit of think that that's where I pulled from, or that's where it looks like I pulled from?
Yeah. Here. Here you go.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab some questions.
Yeah, go for it. I've got your little thing. Okay, here we go. Okay, cool. Who's this question from?
Alexson.
Alexson? Okay. Hey, Alexson. Okay, in your Master Black video, you talk about your hardcore study period before you went professional. Did you manage your study time in some way during this time, like keeping a schedule? Yeah, I did have a schedule, Alexson. Thanks for the question, man. And thanks for wanting to know. It's so weird to have people interested in me, man. It's weird. I gotta tell you, I don't know if I'll ever get used to the feeling, but it's cool and weird at the same time. But yeah, my schedule was basically wake up, shower, draw, pass out. That was my schedule. I had a part-time job. I think I talk about a little bit of this in the video. I had family and friends helping me out. First family, and then later on friends. I mean, I asked for help. I mean, it was the only way I was going to get better, and that was tough. It was tough because it's humiliating. You got to ask for help. You know, you're in your 20s, early 30s. You know, and it's like people ask you, "What do you do?" And it's like you feel the need to completely hedge the whole thing. Well, I'm trying to be an art. I mean, all they hear is, "Oh, okay, so you're basically still sponging off mom and dad and smoking dope." I mean, that's what they basically think you're saying. It was a really tough period because nobody took me seriously, and when you're working your balls off and you're not, it's so hard when you're not making progress and you're working. And you're living like a vagrant. You're like, it was fucking, ramen noodles, man, and coffee. That's what I was surviving off of at that time. And so I basically had a part-time job, and the rest of the time I spend drawing. And now I draw so much now that if I don't get to draw the same amount, I'll kind of go a little batshit. My wife is a saint having to deal with somebody like me because I've got to put in at least 40 hours a week, at least. I'm just not sane unless I'm drawing. Unless I'm drawing that much, I don't feel like I'm progressing. But yeah, I don't know what kind of schedule you got, Alexson. I don't know whether you have a full-time job.
Let's see. I'm not sure exactly what Alexson's doing. He says no. No?
Okay. Or if he doesn't, or if it's a part-time job, basically if he has nothing but time, then your balls should be chained to that drawing table. If you want to go out and hang out with women, fuck that. Draw the woman you want to be with. It's too bad. Sit your ass down. Draw what you want to see. I'm a little exaggerating a little bit there, but yeah, I mean, if you've got that kind of time, man, ride it. I mean, you've got a free pass to get better, and those aren't going to come around later. So if you've got that time, make the most out of it you possibly can. Study the photographs. Something I do for practice is, and this helps me with drawing from imagination. Practice your ass off to a photo, and then try and recreate it. Like maybe come up with a pose or a scene, but don't look at it next time. Open up a document, and try and draw from your imagination. When you're drawing, study. Study how the light's reflecting, because you're drawing light. I mean, I don't know. That's my take. A lot of guys, tell you to, line draw, block it in, do this other stuff. That's not how I draw. I start off dark and I start building the light and color. and it's the light I'm trying to capture correctly, and how it falls, because you're essentially, what you're drawing is an object lit. Everything we see, no matter how dark it is you can only see it because there's light, because it's light is falling on it. So, study that. Study the crap out of it. And draw anything and everything if you can. Because, I know it's tough when the content is lame, but you got to start looking at it like space and shape. You're drawing a chair with like a piece of fabric folded over the side of it. Doesn't sound interesting, but you're trying to capture the shape. And believe it or not, when you nail it, drawing shit like that can be exciting when it looks absolutely correct. You're like, holy shit, I just fucking nailed that cup. I nailed it. So it gets exciting, and then you get charged on that. So anyway, I'm kind of digressing a little bit. Let's see. After you've done with this one, here's another. I love your work, and I feel it would really fit well for heavy metal. Do you have any interest in doing a cover? Andrew Domo, is that for that? Thanks for the question, man. Dude, I love heavy metal. Heavy metal's a huge, huge influence on me. The older ones, really. The magazine's changed a lot, and I've actually sent the guy who runs it, Kevin Eastman, several mails saying, like, man, I'd love to do a cover. I haven't heard back from him for whatever reason, but I love heavy metal. That's where I discovered Corbin, was heavy metal. And Corbin changed my life. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with him, but he's an astonishing artist, and the guy doesn't get shit credit for what he did, how he influenced comics. And go back, look at his work from like the 80s, like mid 80s, which I think is his peak. Nobody was doing form like him. That form and this rendering, it's like a combination of airbrush. I think this is what I've read anyway. Airbrush, oil, and photographs. He'd combine these things. And I actually, just from being down in South by Southwest and talking to George Pratt, he said that he did hand color separation. He did it all by hand. And talk about phenomenal. Go check out his work. I don't want to hype it too much, and let you decide for yourself if you're going to like it. But yeah, heavy metal is huge influence on me. I was a young kid. I was like, I don't know, 13, 14, and that's where I discovered kind of underground adult graphic novels. Because in the heavy metals, you could send away for like a Corbin book, or for a who are some of the other guys who were drawing, like a Mobius book. You could send away for stuff like that, and
that'd be so awesome.
It was adult. Yeah, it was all adult stuff. They were dropping F-bombs, and there was tits and monsters and blood all over the place. It was fucking awesome. And it was like, you're either one or two types of kids. You're either into heavy metal at the time or Star Wars. And because Star Wars was out then, it was like late 70s, early 80s, and I gravitated to like Alien, heavy metal, stuff like that. Another question. If you need to take a break or something like that, just tell me to shut up, because I got diarrhea of the mouth, Dave. I'll just keep going.
Just keep going.
Just keep going? All right. See, who's this? This is Aidenette. Is that how, am I saying it right?
I don't know.
Okay. Question. Okay, first, I am crazy for your style. Thanks. Thank you. Second, how much time do you take for the whole process to make an illustration of the quality of the Tainted novel? Okay. Hey, I'm glad you like that one. That was done, thanks for the question. That was done for Fantasy Flight Games. That was done for their Radicals handbook for Dark Heresy. That's usually for commercial work, I get in the neighborhood, depending on who it is, like Bungie. It'll be the whole job will be like a month long. Usually, the majority of the time is spent kicking back and forth mock-ups and changes and things like that. And usually, what happens is that it doesn't get decided on until like 4 or 5 days before it's due. Because you kick on a bunch of stuff, And then finally the visual design team or whoever it is you're dealing with, like a company like Bungie, for instance, like they'll just try like, okay, we got to go with this, we got to get it humping, and it's pretty much after everybody's had their input. And then you have like 3 or 4 days. So the Bungie stuff was like 3 or 4 days. The stuff for Fantasy Flight is different. Usually it'll be like a week or roughly of kicking around a sketch. And it usually only take maybe 1 or 2 revisions, but something like that in a ballpark neighborhood is that the stuff like for like Fantasy Flight games and stuff like that. I'll usually get 2 weeks, week and a half to work on it. It's usually around the neighborhood of a week and a half, 2 weeks. And like I said, I put in about 40 hours a week minimum. When I have a job, I'll put in 60 to 70. I'll put in as much time as I possibly can, and I'll get as little sleep as I can until I feel like it's done. And yeah, that's a painful way to do it, but it's what I like to do. But on the Tainted Noble, I'd probably say that was probably about 60, 70 hours of work on that. Well, no, I think it was less than that because it was a rush. There was a rush on that one. Now that I remember it, that was like I had about 4 days to actually get that one done because that was more similar to a Bungie job. So
Jesus.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so it was like 4 days basically. But I gotta re-emphasize the fact that if I gotta get 4 hours of sleep a night, that's what I'll do, and to get my time in it. I have to do it like that because during the day, I'm a stay-at-home daddy. I got to wait till my wife gets home from work, and so basically she gets home at like 3:30, 4 o'clock. So from 4 o'clock on, I can draw. So I usually draw from about 4 to 12 or 1. But when I have free time, it's obviously I can put a lot more time into it. Yeah. So basically. I'll draw until the wheels come off, I know that a lot of you guys are. If you are taught, this is what I don't know a whole lot about what you're being taught. If you're traditional artists, I know that they don't stress rendering. I don't know. Maybe you can correct me on that, Dave. I don't know.
Yeah.
But they tell you not to go crazy with the rendering. At least that's what I've heard. But that's what I love to do. And I like to render the crap out of everything, but still using line and space and shape, try and, create life. I'm trying to introduce a little bit more chaos and a little bit more leaving it up to the viewer's imagination a little bit. I'm trying to introduce that stuff a little bit more. Because I don't want to, you render everything and you can kill the life in something. So I'm trying to introduce a little bit more chaos, trying to introduce a little bit more life. But yeah, sorry, I went off on a tangent there, Aidenette. But basically, let's see, I had about 3-4 days, and I probably put in. I guess that was like a 40-hour. That was about 40-hour job. Another one after that. Another question. Darkin. Oh, hey man, I don't know if he's there or not. Man, I love your stuff, dude. Thanks for asking the question. Question: do you go about choosing your compositions? Do you plan them out ahead of time, or just create them as you go? I actually, I think I saw your stuff in Digital Art Masters, and I read about how you went and created that. What the hell is it? Varden. I don't know. I'm not pronouncing it right. I think it was one of those Elemental Masters, like that dragon guy that you did for Wizards. I think it was a Wizards character from the from Magic, if I remember correctly. And I remember reading about your process, and I do it a lot like you do, man. I just kind of do it as I kind of make it up as I go along. Sometimes I'll have a strong idea. It's one of two things usually. Like I'll go in having it's more an idea. I kind of very rarely do I actually sit down unless it's for a client, as you well know, pretty much everything is spelled out for you. You don't really get to compose at all that much, depending on client. I mean, like the majority of the clients I like, fantasy flight's a little bit more loosey goosey. You can kind of do your own composition. Usually with Bungie, you don't. But so for clients it's different. But for my own stuff, I don't know whether you can kind of get a sense of this at least from the YouTube tutorial spot that's on. Is that I like to use a lot of randomness. I have a color in mind. Usually it's strong characters. And you probably do this too, Darkin, is that you probably have a strong character in mind. I don't know. This is kind of what I'm guessing. And then you start tooling the environment around the character. I kind of do that. But anyway, I have to get that element of randomness in, and I usually achieve that by using really big texture brushes and kind of slapping down blobs with the big texture brush, so kind of random bits start popping out. Like that. I try and pull stuff out of that random bit, like hitting it, a dark texture brush, a little extra here, a little extra over there, and seeing what I can pull out of it. And I'll sometimes build a composition out of that. I find if I don't keep it random and don't introduce some kind of element that's going to keep me, thinking differently, I'm a really rigid thinker. And my ideas are pretty fucking lame, actually. Look at the Hostile Takeover piece. I mean, the lead character. I mean, you describe it on paper. That's a pretty fucking lame character. Green, red glowing eyes, pointy ears, sweet tits, gun. I mean, it's a really, really lame sounding character. But it's how it's lit. It ends up being okay. So, I have to keep loose with my ideas. But yeah, for compositions, I talk a little bit about that in the tutorial too. But in a nutshell, I start pulling stuff out of those random bits, and I try and create points of interest. And I usually try and keep my points of interest in a tight circle in the center. Or I'll try and wait out the rest of the piece through symmetry. But I hope that answers the questions. In a nutshell, I think I kind of do it like you do. I kind of do it as I go, and I feel like that composition is it's almost this whole other realm where you got to practice composing. I feel like. Because I feel like that balancing a piece and choosing the elements that tie together a piece is something you get better at over time. And I don't know. I'm probably just repeating myself. I hope that answers it, man. I love your shit. I love that lizard man you did. The guy, you see the piece I'm talking about? He did.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
The finally finished section is an Aztec lizard guy.
Yeah, I like that whole series.
Yeah, that one hurt my ass, dude. I think it hurt that one hurt my buns. It was really fucking sweet. Okay, Fraser MCT question. Oh, I think I don't know whether he does or not. I think Darkin lives in Virginia. I used to live in Virginia for a while. Just giving my shout outs, yo. Let's see, Fraser MCT question. I love your work, Brad. Thanks, man. I'm just wondering if you have any tips for people wanting to pursue the same career as you. What would you advise upcoming artists to practice and think when studying? I would say that it probably depends on, what do you want to do? Because what we do is huge. What you want to do and maybe what you excel at might be different things, and you might want to find a balance in there, and then to start exploiting your strengths. But in general, I guess I'm not trained, so I would take what I say definitely take what I say with a grain of salt, because I don't want to lead you astray, but I know you pretty much can't go wrong if you practice to life, or if you practice the photos. Get your anatomy down, and there's no end game with that. You know, your anatomy. I don't know whether you're going to work in color. I don't know what your medium is, Fraser. What medium you working in?
Sorry, I was typing. I'm waiting for him to respond. Let's see. Well, I was actually typing something to you in case you can't hear me.
Well, I can hear you pretty good. It's just like I get weird digital feedback.
Yeah, that seems to be the problem with like the Skype phone thing.
Yeah. So
he says,
did Fraser say what his medium was?
Oils and digital.
Oils and digital. Wow. Well, first of all, I envy you because I blow ass with oils. I suck with oils, man. I've made some really lame attempts. It might be different now, and then I can have a little bit better handle on stuff, but I suck with permanent mediums. That's why I went to digital, man. It's because there's a safety net. You know, you can undo your fuck-ups, and if you're a little trick that I always like to do a lot. I use the history tool a lot. I don't know about you guys, but a trick that really helps me keep what I like is I'll save a lot, make a duplicate of what I'm working on, and so when I develop stuff, I can use the history tool to undo to a point that I really like. That'll help you keep what you have. I know most people work on tons and tons of layers, and I got to hand it to people who can do that, because that's a great asset to be able to do that. I suck at that, so I only use 2 layers for a couple reasons, because that's what I'm used to, and because the pixels behave differently. So if you're using if you're working on another layer, like if you're working with layers, man, I just completely forgot what I was talking about. Woo! Getting old, buddy. Alzheimer's is kicking in early. He said oils and digital. Okay, that's right. Yeah, digital. I use digital because of the safety net. But yeah, that's right. Okay, oils. Okay, yeah, I hate you for being able to use oils. Oils and digital. That's not something I ever tried. But if you're doing oil paint or digital, you can't go wrong with studying anatomy. You can't go wrong with studying perspective and practicing those things as much as you can. I don't know. I don't know what to really offer you. I mean, practice. In terms of people wanting to pursue the same career, let's see. I don't know. I think there's a couple approaches. I think what I've noticed is that there's a lot of people who will overexpose themselves before their skills have matched up, and you kind of I feel like, in other words, I see a lot of people posting their stuff, like Crimson Daggers is cool, and because you guys kind of keep it to yourselves. I mean, other people could come check it out, but it's an awesome idea for us, like as a study group to get better. But if you're alone and if you don't belong to a study group, I'd say practice and practice until you're ready to come out of the gate.
How many hours a day did you spend?
I'm sorry?
I was asking how many hours a day did you spend doing your studies?
I'm sorry? How many times a day do I what? Oh, in my studies. It's different because I'm usually humping on some kind of commercial work. But there's opportunities to be had there. Usually with commercial work, you'll be provided reference. Try and nail that reference, man. I mean, use it as an opportunity. I feel like you can be studying anytime you're drawing or whatever you're working with. Commercial stuff, you're going to be provided a lot of reference that you're going to adhere to, like IPs, and try and nail it as much as you can. By looking at photos. When it's commercial stuff for a client, I think that all the rules are gone. I feel like it's not about your personal journey as an artist. It's about providing for a service for a client. and they deserve your best. So I'll look at a photo for commercial work, But when it comes to my own stuff and practicing, I think if you want to get better from your imagination, I highly suggest, this works for me, I highly suggest is studying, looking at a photo and trying to get it right, and then closing it up, and then trying to duplicate it using your imagination. It's hard at first. It sucks at first. You're going to be dying to go back and look at that piece, like, fuck, this is wrong, fuck, this is wrong. But keep practicing at it, because I know people talk about, use reference, copy photos. It's good practice, but there comes to a point where if you rely on the photos all the time, you're going to get good at copying photos. You're not going to get good at art. And I feel like that art is dependent on your imagination and your ability to combine your practical studying habits and, getting everything technically right, being able to take that and inject it into your imagination. But you got to build that muscle, I feel like. So if you plan on doing fantasy art, Fraser, or like commercial fantasy art, I think a majority of people here want to get into that, or concept work, practice using that imagination as much as you can. You still there, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay, I heard a click. I thought you hung up on me. I was thinking, man, it's about time. It's about, just all I do is sit here and fucking talk. It's like, oh, I'm sick of this guy. But tips for people wanting to pursue the same career. Me personally, I never tried anything like a study group, and I never, I lurked around conceptart.org for years before I posted my stuff. If you look, my thing, I only registered 2 years ago in 2008. Until that other time, I was lurking. I was scared to post my shit because I knew it wasn't what I could do, and I knew that when I put it up, I was going to get my ass beat, and which might have been good, but I felt like I had a good handle on where I was wrong, and that goes back to the whole dark side thing, Taskmaster deal we were talking about. But I think you're gonna want to get crits. You're gonna want crits that are gonna hurt. You're gonna want to be able to go to people that you're gonna be able to trust, and send them a note, or like Crimson Daggers, or it's like a group thing, and that the other people, their best interests, their interest is to have you get better. Can you trust that? Because not everybody gets crits for the same reasons. Getting quality crits, and kind of not unloading yourself for exposure before you're ready. Because you'll see there's a lot of people kind of overexpose themselves, and they're not really, they're not ready to start working, and I think you can hurt yourself doing that. Kind of like with a, here I am, and really push yourself, but your skills aren't there yet. And you can marginalize yourself. If you're not ready to start taking commercial work, and you start really pushing yourself and sending out submissions and really hunting on that, and nothing happens, that you might leave a bad taste in their mouth. So I don't know, that's kind of, I don't know if that's really right. That's what I did. I kind of felt like I had an internal clock when I was ready, and I still have. It doesn't mean I'm I'm far from perfect. My shit is far from perfect, and I get awesome crits now. But I feel like I'm ready for the crits because I feel like I kind of came out of the gate strong. But I don't know. I'm kind of wandering into the weeds here. I'm taking a long way I'm taking a long way of telling you that don't really press yourself and sell yourself until you're ready. And how are you going to know that you're ready? You'll know. You'll know. There's a difference between wanting to be ready and knowing you're ready, and that's kind of that's an internal clock type thing. You'll know, but I hope that helps, man. I hope that was a decent answer. All 45 minutes of it. Texahall. Question, do you ever have any arm strain problems? No. I did for a little while, a couple of years ago, because I guess I thought I was still 15 years old, and then I went on a kayak trip with my brother-in-law down to Black Creek here in Mississippi. It was awesome. And there was a rope swing. I'm like, yeah, I can fucking do this one-handed. You know. Well, I fucked my arm up. I strained it for like, I think I sprained it, and it took a couple of years to get back to normal. No, I don't have any arm strain problems. No arm strain problems. Let's see. Ryan Portillo. Question. When exactly did you decide you were ready? Was there a particular breakthrough or particular piece? Yeah, there was. It was after there's this piece I have, and it's one of my first, like, I don't know, I stopped working on, I stopped doing line art, and I stopped working on a white background. I never start off a piece like that. I haven't started a piece off like that for years. When I stopped doing that, and I went to a straight color background, and started putting in trying to get the blob, the basic, like using a dark value pen, like a big brush, pencil, dark value brush in Photoshop, and trying to get the whole character, the gesture, weight, using like a big texture brush with one stroke, just trying to get the masses. When I started working like that, like building up masses with really primitive strokes and stuff like that, that's when I had a huge break. Doing it the long way, well, not the long way, but like doing it how, doing lines and drawing everything by pencil and going and blocking it, I always sucked with that. And when I finally got out of that is when I had a real big breakthrough. But in terms of being ready to push my stuff commercially, I think it was really about 2 years ago. I mean, I've only been really working about two and change years now in quote unquote the biz. It's so basically, again, to answer your question, and also maybe give a better answer for Fraser here, though, what I was trying to say is that it basically took me about 8 years until I was ready. And that being ready, you've got to be able to look at your stuff for what it is and not what you want it to be. And again, that means that you got to submit to the taskmaster, man. I mean, get friends, family who are going to be honest with you about your stuff. It's hard because you make friends. We make connections. We make friends that we really like. You don't want to hurt your friends. But if you're not being hard on them, not in a dickish or prickish way, but if you're not giving them the straight dope, you're really hurting them. You're really hurting them. So you got to be honest. You really got to be honest with yourself. And if you look at your art with a skeptical eye first, and look at, say, how am I wrong instead of how am I right, a lot of the answers will start coming. The trap there is that you practice that a lot, and sometimes we're not going to improve as quickly as we want to, and that can be really frustrating when you're working hard. But being honest with yourself and just sticking to it when it gets hard, and working through that stuff. The breakthroughs will come. Other people are going to see it before you do. I guarantee it. But looking for what's wrong first, and really being honest with yourself and comparing. That's how I did it. Now, when you know your stuff isn't up to caliber and you're practicing and you're comparing yourself to others, it's easy to make a big picture of the haterade. It's really easy to start getting, you get pissed and you feel like everybody's got the keys to get better but you feel like everybody's getting better but you, and it's hard and it makes you mad, but you got to put that shit to use. Those feelings of like, I'll never be good enough. I'll never be as good as that guy. You got to take that shit and you got to distill it into like a fucking razor and be like, I'm gonna kick your dick in, and then you get back in there and you start drawing again. It can be hard to get past those humps, but if you can, and this is something else practice is taking all those feelings of being an inferior artist and putting it back into your work. If you're wasting, you can choose to feel sorry for yourself and stuff like I did. I did years of doing that, but it didn't make me a better artist. Go through it. Go through the couple hours or a day of moping around if you have to, but get fucking back into it. You'll know when you're ready when you start looking at your stuff, and if you can be honest with yourself and say, okay, I think you'll know because your eye won't be getting hung up on stuff. You look at your stuff, and if you can honestly appraise it next to like some of your heroes and say, I'm getting closer, I feel like it's an internal thing. It's kind of like, I hate to sound so lame and fucking zen and shit, but you'll know it. That Star Wars shit, you'll know it. You will know it. It's being able to discern it from your desire to start working and your desire to be ready is going to be the difficult part. I really feel like you meet yourself doing this stuff. I come all the time, and I come up against my own unwillingness to change, and to not be wrong. I still come up against a lot of my own personal demons, and it's working through that stuff that and when you do work through it, you're going to feel that confidence. Like you're going to know because you're going to feel confident. You're going to feel confident, but you're also going to be ready to get an ass blasting, by honest critique if you're ready. So I hope that answers the question.
That's awesome.
All right. Alexson. Are you double dipping? This guy's double dipping questions here. Is that allowed in Crimson Daggers? Stab him!
Oh, it's allowed for now.
Alexson, question. You always have sweet composition in your pieces. Dude, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And from what I understand, all this is self-taught. Yes, it is. Do you read any books on the matter or study old masters, or did you just figure it out by yourself? A lot of my composition ideas come from aping Frazetta. You look at Frazetta's compositions, they're incredible. You could look at a Frazetta piece, like from any angle, upside down or from the side, and it's balanced. If you look at it just in terms of space and shape, they're always balanced. They're awesome. Aping Frazetta, and also aping like movie stills or like a scene in a movie I really like the fog we were talking about. Like there's a scene where it's something called a Dutch tilt. I don't know if you guys would know what that is. A Dutch tilt in filming is like when basically the horizon's tilted. It kind of gives you that, like in the old Batmans when they're like, pow, smash! That shit with the camera was always tilted when they were in fight scenes. It kind of creates like a dynamic there that wouldn't be there unless you're looking at it level. Looking at it level would look kind of lame. But since it's got that tilt, it kind of gives you that. There's an inherent sense of having to regain your balance and movement. So anyway, I think there's a Dutch tilt, or there's a couple scenes like that. But there's like a scene in the fog with that element. And in the thing too, and I'll freeze those shots in my mind, and try and duplicate them, like scenes from a movie, or trying to ape compositions I like. Later, as time has gone on, I kind of developed my own compositional rules. I talked about that in the tutorial too. Is that I basically try and tie together points of interest, and balancing the picture with points of interest. I try and keep it roughly in the center of the page, so your eye doesn't have to go too far. But as your eye, I look at images left or right, and the more like I try and get the person to look around the image and then kind of go back to zero from left to right again, and then maybe basically as it spirals outward from the center, there's going to be a balance of points of interest. I know it sounds, I hate to sound self-referential, but it just, I know it sounds like voodoo, kind of stupid, but that's that's what I like to do. I like to tie my points of interest with my compositions. Let's see here. Alex said I didn't read any books. And didn't study Old Masters. It's only really recently until I've gotten into the Old Masters. Like, I like Rubens a lot. I love Sargent. Sargent's incredible. But it's hard because I don't look at the art. I'm still very much a fan. When I look at art now, I don't think composition. I just, do I like it? And I look at what it's hard to describe. I don't know how to say what I'm saying without saying like I make it up as I go along and just try and balance it the best I can. But no, Old Masters, didn't study them, start checking them out until really recently. I hate to admit it, but it is not until recently I've been exposed to them. So I guess I kind of figured out for myself. It's a combination of looking at a little bit of Old Masters, like Frazetta. I consider him an Old Master. Or it's a combination of that and kind of figuring out for myself, looking at what I liked about the guys who I loved and trying to duplicate the same feel without duplicating the picture. Let's see. Novax Cleo. And you guys aren't being easy with the names. I'm old, man. You got to make it easy here. You got to make it easy on me.
Oh man.
Question: at times I thought I put many hours. It feels I'm not moving forward as much as I like to. Do you ever feel that way? And what did you do to get excited and keep pushing forward? Or you kind of already answered that. It's a tough place to be. I hate to tell you what you've probably already been telling. Keep drawing. Work through it. You may not think like it's not going to feel like you're working through it, but you are. People are going to see the improvements before you are. I know that I'm no different. We've all been brought up in this day and age to kind of get gratification. Like, okay, I've done it. Where's my trophy? Okay, I've done it. Where's my recognition? Okay, I've done it. Where's my proof? We live in that. We've all been raised like that, but that's not how things work. And so again, it's looking at things for how they are instead of what you want them to be. And I know you put in a lot of hours, and I know you feel like you're not getting the payback, but there's shit that's going on that you're not observing. You're working it out, and by putting in more and more hours, you may not see the proof, but you are going to work it out. You're going to make the connections. You just got to get through that feeling. I get that way too. Still now, it never ends. The thing that we're doing, what you're feeling now, you're gonna feel later on. You're just gonna be better, or your skills gonna improve. I feel like with art, there's no end game with this whole thing. I feel like you never reach a point where you're like, okay, I rock, that's it. I mean, you can do that if you want.
If you're a douche.
And there are people who do that. There are people who do rest on their laurels. But if you rest on your laurels and say, okay, I think I'm rocking sufficiently, okay, fine, but you're going to get your ass whipped by some 18-year-old Russian kid who's going to post a couple things on the boards, and he's going to completely, ass blast you, and you're like, oh my God, I suck, yeah, I feel like that. And what do I do to keep excited? And the push forward is give myself things to get excited about. And that's kind of what I was talking about, the random aspect. Is that if you're willing to kind of throw yourself to the wolves a little bit with this and not tread over the same ground, like push yourself out of the safety zone a little bit, You're going to enjoy it. It's like recovering. You know, if you recover from those fuck-ups, you know, push yourself. Try something like retarded, like a master study, or something absolutely retarded, like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do that. You know, get past that and do it. That will keep you excited. And if the idea doesn't, you know, what turns you on about this? You know, remembering the basics. You know, what is it that initially, you know, lit you on fire to be a better artist? I think about those things when I get low sometimes, or I feel like that I'm kind of entering into a same old rut. I think about Frazetta and Corbin and that feeling I got when I first saw them. And I'll go back to the basics of, you know, going back to the things that turn me on, but trying them in different ways. And, you know, you try things in different ways only by you know, kind of putting yourself in traffic a little bit. You know, you got to scare yourself a little bit. You know, you gotta hurt. But you'll get there. Just stay with it, man. Stay with it. Work through those feelings. Because you're gonna feel like shit if you don't. Yeah, you know that. Let's see. Don't know. Question. When setting a piece for a client while brainstorming, do you? Well, my thing just moved. Okay. Yeah, my thing just moved, and I saw your little. I saw a little pencil moving down at the bottom. It totally threw me off, dude. You know. Look, I'm old. You know.
Blew it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. We'll talk about it later. Don't know. When starting a piece for a client while brainstorming, do you find the line between what you think the client or audience is going to like, or do you just go about, this is how I see it, put it down and see it from there? Like, wow, this would be cool, but it's going overboard. Better leave it out, or just do it and see what the client has to say. This is awesome, by the way. Yes, this is awesome. Let's see. It is awesome. I love being able to. I mean, I can't believe that I'm even getting questions. It's weird. I gotta say this a little bit. I mean, when I was at South by Southwest, I mean, it was, man, people were coming up to me and just treating me like a rock star. It was fucking weird. I mean, it was cool, but it was weird. It's weird for people to be interested in me, in my art. Not because I don't think I'm worth it, but just I never thought it'd get to this point. I never thought I'd want to do interviews with someone like Dave, Rapoza, who's fucking awesome, or, be able to go to South by Southwest, and draw for Massive Black. I never envisioned it past, gee, I hope I get a couple jobs, so this is awesome, being able to talk to you guys, and, because, I say it a lot in my posts and on forums and stuff like that, how much I appreciate what I do. I can't tell you how much this means to me. It's awesome to have the interest of other artists. And I try to be as responsible as I can with answering the questions. So yeah, this is pretty sweet. I love being able to do it. Okay, when it comes to brainstorming, a fine line between what the client is going to like, I just do what I like, and I kind of let the client say no. You can't lose that way. I mean, I don't know whether it's going to get me in trouble or not, but, don't do exactly what the client wants you to do all the time, because they might really dig something that you do. I'm not talking finished product. I'm talking like initial sketches, like the first couple passes when you're bouncing it back and forth and figuring out what you're going to do. I always think it's good to kind of, that's what they're paying you for, is to take their idea and regurgitate it through your filter. That's why they're hiring you. I think it's good to take those chances. Do a couple sketches. Try something cool. Say, hey, but this is another idea I had, kind of using your formula. Try the best you can to capture what it is they're looking for. With commercial art, it can be tough because you're not always going to be into what you're doing. For instance, I've gotten a lot of sci-fi jobs. I mean, I love sci-fi, but my strength is not in sci-fi. And like by the numbers tech, like, like perfectly, rendered, guns that, they look a little bit used. I'm not good at that kind of thing. Like, I have to work extra hard at it. So you're gonna, when it's like a piece, my own piece, like a tutorial, that's kind of like mad science, junk tech. You can kind of make up your own rules a little bit. But when it comes to like by the numbers IP stuff, you're going to be given stuff that you're not going to feel confident with. But I feel like there's a lot to learn there. Like you can take that, and that's a learning experience right there. But I think it's important to take what you're given and be brave with it, and say, if you and just, it's not going to hurt to run it by them. Like, when you do a sketch to pass it in and say, what do you think about this? You never know. The head honcho or art director or the guy who's in charge of the particular line you're working on might really dig it. But I always try and stick to what the client wants. I try and put in every element that they want. I like the challenge of that. I don't think they have to be mutually exclusive, really, because I think that you can take what they want and regurgitate it how you want it to look. It doesn't mean that it's between what you want and what the client wants. I feel like that you can have both. You can have your cake and eat it. It's just a matter of how much can you immerse yourself in the IP, like Dark stuff. That he does for Warhammer. I believe it. I feel like he immerses himself in that world. Like he not only adheres to the IP, but I feel like he takes it in a little extra direction. He puts himself into it. Doing stuff like as a third party for Warhammer, they're very tight. They're extremely tight with their IP, and they should be, because it's their baby and it's Warhammer. It's like you don't riff and you don't improvise on Warhammer. It's just not something you do. You have to stick to their IP, but you can. I feel like that you can inject your vision into what the client wants. I totally think you can do that. That they don't have to be exclusive to each other. Luca, Brad, you're fucking awesome. Thanks, man. Fucking awesome. And your art really motivates me. What things distracted you from doing art? Man, that's a great question. How dare you ask me a pointed question with substance to it? You're fucking awesome. Thanks, man. I don't know how to react to that. I don't feel awesome. I don't feel awesome some days. Like, you get older. Like I'm a 40-year-old guy. Stomach looks a little bigger. Dick looks a little smaller. All right. I'm just kidding. I'm hung like a mule. All right. You're fucking awesome, and your art really motivates me. What things distracted you from art? Doing art? Very little. When I really decided to get back into art, what distracted me from art when I was younger was basically girls and music. I was a musician for a while. It was the hormones, man. Hormones, wanting attention. I was a young man. Young men do stupid shit, and I was doing stupid shit for a while, longer than most. But that distracted me from it. Well, but when I really became serious, again, not again, but I feel like I really got serious. Yeah, go ahead and get a cup of coffee, man. You have my permission. Let's see. Oh no, I thought Dave was asking for coffee. I saw the box. See, I'm old, man. You can't pop shit like that on me. All I saw was coffee and a little smiley face at the end of it. I'm like, yeah, sure, go get a cup of coffee. You can't throw me curveballs like that, man.
Oh,
right.
I'm trying not to.
What? I'm just joking. Let's see. Fucking awesome, your heart really would have. Yeah, that's what distracted me, man. Now that I'm older, and I really, I feel like, I don't know if this is going to sound like a drill sergeant or inhuman or whatever, but I feel like if you really have made the decision that you're going to do this, you're not going to get distracted. If you really have earnestly, to your innermost self have conceded, I'm doing this, bang, then you don't get distracted. There have been times when I started off where I really wanted to play video games, because when I first started getting work, it wasn't rock solid steady starting off. Like, I still had a little bit of time to fuck around playing Fallout 3 or Warhammer Online, which is a fun game. But I played a Marauder, and it was fucking GIMP. I swear to God, in every one of these fucking games, I always choose the GIMP character. It pisses me off. Anyway, but then I played a Choppa. But then I got too busy with. Anyway, so yeah, things that kind of distracted me were video games a little bit in the beginning, but at that point I was ready to go. So yeah, I mean, I feel like when you're ready to make the big plunge, that there's going to be very little that's going to distract you. I felt a couple pangs to play MMOs or things like that, because I really used to be an avid gamer and a role-playing game player, but now I channel those distractions into my art. Like, when you play like a game for the first time, like a video game, and you go into like a new area and you're kind of like totally taken away, you're like swept away by the mood, like a new zone or a monster or a dungeon or something like that, and that feeling, I try and recreate that feeling in my art. Like, I try and draw something that, like, where I want to be, what I would want to see if I was playing a game. I think that you can turn your distractions. I feel like you can turn all the stuff that works against you, drawing, and I feel like you can take it and you can use it. The stuff that distracts you, pulls you away, like those pesky girls, or those video games. Draw a girl, or draw the girl you want to be with. Draw the video game you want to see, the scene you want to see. I feel like you can turn those things around. Aaron N. What's up, man? You make me moist. I like that. I feel like I gotta go shower now. How do you go about the health dental during that struggle moment of ramen and coffee? I don't think I understand the question completely. How do you go about health dental during that struggle moment of ramen and coffee?
Just
you mean
little
like
money?
Oh, on little money?
Yeah.
I relied on my parents, dude. I mean, I hate to admit it. No, I don't really hate to admit it, because it's the truth. I mean, I did anything I could to keep drawing, and I'd say, look, I'm getting low on money. Can you help me out? I was a fucking, it was like I was the equivalent of selling Hard Times,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't a mooch because I was working, but if I had needs like that, I'd go to friends or family. I'm lucky that I had people who, after a while, when I started, making some progress, and they saw that I was really, really serious. Like, for instance, towards the end there, I ran through a really tough time where I had 2 jobs, and my folks couldn't help me out. Like, they were having their own problems, and I had two part-time jobs, and I had less time to work and draw at night, and it was a really fucking low. It was a really, really low period where I had to rely completely on myself. And I know that there's probably some of you out there who are in those circumstances like that. How I got through it was just trying to stay focused on what's important and realizing it wasn't going to be forever. That can be hard, where we go through those dark days, and you're going to have them. God willing, you guys don't have to go through that kind of stuff. I know probably a couple of you are or have. It's tough, man. Oh my God, is that tough? But you gotta. That's where you gotta pull yourself up on from the bootstraps and realize that everything's gonna change. It can't stay that way forever. You just gotta use whatever little time you've got. Take every little lunch break, every little smoke break you get. You're busting your balls to keep what you have. Draw. I know it's pittance. I know it's like breadcrumbs pittance. for those of you who are having times like that. But you got to survive, man. You'll get through it. You will get through it. It might not happen soon. It might happen later, but it's going to change. You got to stay tough. You got to stay tough, because what's the alternative? The alternative is not drawing, not working with the little time you got to get better, and that's going to make you feel even worse. So think about that alternative, where you're busting hump, you have little time to work on drawing, and then throw not drawing and not improving into the mix. I mean, you can't do that to yourself. I'm sorry I make you moist, Aaron. Let's see, Dan Warren. Here's a random one. I don't know. Should I be happy he's moist? Maybe it's a girl. I don't want to know. Dan Warren. Here's a random one. Being a 40-year-old man, was growing up in the 80s and the rise of this fantasy media awesome? Do you think about being a teen in the 80s affected your view of how to make awesome art? Dude, it was fucking awesome to be back then. I mean, you don't have a frame of reference, Dan, because it was all new. But it was magic. It was magic because, like, adult comics, that edgy kind of comic, which just started to come out, and heavy metal had just been introduced here. It was magical time because it was like all you really had were like capes and tights. I mean, capes and tights are okay, if you like that stuff. But I was into Moon Knight for a little while when I was a kid, and Batman, stuff like that. I was into that for a little while. But when I got introduced to the other stuff, yeah, it felt magical because I felt like that there were these dangerous, exotic worlds, and I wanted to be there. Like the hook. The hook and immersion came from not necessarily the characters, but the worlds that these characters belong to. I was like, man, I want to be in that world with chicks with huge cans walking around and like people getting killed and shit, and flying around on creatures and fucking, like saving like civilizations and shit. I wanted that, like to be in those worlds, to be immersed in those worlds, and yeah, it was totally awesome. Like, I don't know if you guys ever go back and watch like heavy metal now. I mean, it's, I don't want to say it's laughable but for the time when that came out, that was a big deal. Like, it was a big deal when that came out, and the movie, or when Alien came out. Like, there was nothing like Alien when Alien came out I think it was 1979. There was nothing like that, and my parents, thank God I had parents who recognized the sickness and the need for dark, twisted imagery, and they took me to go see Alien in the theater, and oh my God, that's Ridley Scott, and wow. I mean, that had a profound effect on me, and being able to see where it's gone, and all the cool shit that kind of sprang out of that is... like I was saying, I said it's a great time to be an artist, man, and it really is. It really is, because there's so much talent out there. There's so much cool shit being created, and it kind of came from all that. So yeah, it's definitely magical, man. I feel really lucky to to experience this whole journey, and hopefully I'll be able to make some additions to it. That is my only. That's one of my biggest wishes.
I hope so too. It'd be so
beautiful. Yeah,
oh,
you will. You definitely will, man. Yeah, I mean, I know you're the host and everything, and it's in my best interest to smooch your ass, but yeah, man, I love your stuff, and you can totally see the improvement in your shit, Dave. I think your buddies would agree.
Thank you.
I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome to see people grow and get better. It's exciting to be, like, when you're in that, and you're getting better too. It's awesome. It's, stay away from the assholes who want to pull you down, and they're out there, man. They are out there, and that's what I was talking about with some people not giving critiques who have your best interests. Yeah, they want to hurt you. They'll give you backhanded critiques, like, they'll act like they want to help you out, but it's really to hurt you. Stay away from fucking D-bags like that, Let's see, Undead Artist. Let's see here. Was there ever a time that no matter what you did, kept drawing blanks and get major artist block? How did you get past that? Yeah, Oh yeah, man. I go through a little bit of that now. How do you get past it? You do stuff that sucks. That's basically what you do. You draw trash until you get through it, and you will get through it. Sometimes you're going to get those blanks. I think what will help you out is, again, in the movie stills. Man, I can't talk about movie stills enough, practicing to those, because they're just so cool, because the lighting is made so the scene looks cool, and there's plenty of stuff to get into there, Think about what you love to look at. I try and keep it really, really simple, and from there, usually I can get through blocks. Keep it really, really simple. What do you like to look at? What do you want to see? You got like a blank page in front of you. What do you want to look at? Instead of thinking like genre or character or scene, think about, what do I want to see? What do I like to look at? You'd be surprised how many people draw stuff they don't like to look at. They draw it because they feel like they have to, like, adhere to a genre, or they have to adhere to a style.
My trap as well.
Yeah, and that can be tough because we get trapped. You can definitely get trapped. Like actually, just last night, Bungie they asked me to do something for them. I can't really say what, but it was they wanted me to do something cartoonish, with humor in it, and I was like, dude, I don't do that. I didn't say it like that, but I was like, man, I don't even know where to begin. I don't even know where to begin with that. I wish you're better off getting somebody who's going to do that, do the idea justice, because me trying to do a compromise, like a composite or compromised, like a style that's compromised between what I do and humor, it's going to look like slop, and it's going to look stupid. It's not going to have the same ring and truth to it that somebody who does that would. It's going to fall short. I'm going to let you down. So, back to the original point, draw what you want to see. Like if you play games or if you watch movies, draw the character you would love to play. Draw the scene in a game you'd love to see. Draw the movie scene you wanted to see. You take it from there, and it's easy. And if you still are coming up with shooting blanks, then draw a hot chick that you like to look at. Something you like to look at. Because sometimes it can just be that simple. You can get into a trap of overthinking of this whole thing. And I feel like that the more inspired and spontaneous you can keep it, I feel like it's going to come out in the work. Let's see, Alexson, man, dude, you are hogging. You're fucking hogging the show. Okay, question, did you contact any professionals about your work before you went on the forums and all that? Or did you critique yourself? I did critique myself. This is a hard one to answer because, we need honest critiques, and it can be hard to be honest with yourself. How do I relate all this without getting overly exposing myself or sappy? I'm trying to how am I going to put this without sounding like a fucking moron? I've been sober for 13 years. I go to AA, and the biggest reward I get out of still going to AA is being able to help out people who are new, like I was when I was scared shitless and confused and terrified because I couldn't envision life without alcohol or drugs. Anyway, through going to AA, I've learned, I basically had to learn how to live life sober because I didn't know how to do that. And one of the things that AA teaches you is how to be honest. It teaches you how to be honest with yourself. Gives you the tools on how to do that. And I put that shit to work with my art. being honest with yourself is more than just being hard on yourself. Like, you can be hard on yourself, and you can be just way off. Just because you're hard on yourself doesn't mean you're right. Being honest is a difficult thing to pull out, because usually there are a lot of reasons why you feel it that way. Well, I'm starting to lose juice here. You might have to call me back. Hold on a second. I'm getting my fucking power supply.
Oh crap! I didn't even realize we're like a half hour over.
I'm walking into no man's land here. I may get attacked by my daughter while looking for a power supply.
Okay.
So all hell could potentially break loose here. Yeah, that's what I need. My awesome wife. Okay. Coming to my rescue again. All right, let me plug this fucker up. Yeah, honesty. Being able to be honest with yourself about your work is how you're going to critique yourself the best. You're gonna come into situations where shit. What is this over here? Oh man. All right. Hold on a second. I don't even know what the fuck is. Ah, shit. That's the internet. All right. Let's see. Might lose my speakers. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Hope this is the speakers. Hold on, just kill my computer. I gotta find it. Okay, I got it. All right, sweet. I did something right. Okay. Sorry. Had to get my phone plugged in there, people. I feel like I'm able to effectively critique myself because I've had a lot of practice being honest. And it's not easy. I think the best way you can critique yourself, I feel like that you want to keep the pool of people you expose yourself to be kind of small. And I'm not hating on Crimson Daggers or anything because it's getting fucking huge, people, getting huge. But you wanna keep that pool small, because if you stay in like perma critique mode, you'll never get out of it. Like you'll never reach a point where you can leave it alone, because there's always going to be something wrong. So you're going to want to keep that pool of people you trust to be reliable and relatively small. You got to be able to trust them. Like getting those critiques where that person has your best interest, like they want you to get better. That's going to make it. That'll help you out a lot. And that's that's why I love Crimson Dagger so much, because you guys seem like you really care whether you get better or not, or each other gets better. And that's what it's all about. So, but when it comes to just you're not going to be able to access Crimson Daggers all the time, and or each other. You might have just yourself to bounce off of, and teaching yourself how to be honest is a great tool. You can do that by kind of looking at your motives. I know I'm getting a little, Yoda here with this shit, but I feel like that this is a tool that you can put to use. Examine your motives when you're trying to get better. Why are you trying to get better? Are you trying to get better because you want to have people see you get better? Or do you want to get better because you want to improve? It might be a little bit of both. You might want to get better because you might want the attention. You might want to do art really well because you want people to, be in awe of you, or you want to be a rock star. I don't know. You got to examine that stuff. And once you're able to examine why you're doing art and what you're doing this particular piece for, then you can start being honest with yourself. Are you trying to prove something, or do you want to create an awesome piece of art? And sometimes those are gray areas, and I don't think that wanting attention for what you do and having something to prove are necessarily bad, because sometimes I sit down with those motives exactly. Like, I'll be sitting down there drawing, I'm gonna fucking kick this guy's ass. I'm gonna fucking draw the shit out of that, show those motherfuckers. Sometimes I'll do that. I have done that, and that's what I'm talking about. Dark side of the force.
Awesome.
You put that envy and that competitive, ugly, tooth and nail shit. You can put that to work. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like you can give yourself excellent tools to critique yourself if you can be honest. Look for what's wrong first, aside from what looks right. We'll see something that looks cool, like, oh yeah, that's awesome, and then start building the drawing around it, and it's completely fucked up. And you can avoid that by being honest. But that's practice. That's something to practice. Let's see. That's it. No more questions.
I was actually gonna ask you. Can you hear me? Because this is retarded. Can you hear me?
Is what?
Well, I'm just gonna type and talk at the same time. Do you have to go anytime soon?
Nope.
It's late.
No, I'm here. If people want to keep asking questions, I'll sit here until you're done.
Oh, awesome.
Got to give the people what they want.
Okay, good.
The people want tits.
Can you supply?
That's what. I can't. I'm afraid I can't. Hold on, I might be able to in chat. Let me see if I can supply some boobs in chat. Let's see. There we go. There's some boobs.
I like that. There's a question.
Undead artist. Not sure if anybody asked that. Were there times while doing studies you just felt like you were slamming your head into the desk and feel like you're getting nowhere? Oh yeah. Yeah, they're tough. Those are tough spots to get through. Like I was, I think I talked a little bit about that. It feels like you're going nowhere. It feels like you're spinning your wheels. It feels like you're treading over the same old ground over and over and over again and over again and over again. It feels like that. And you're getting nowhere. You are. Trust me. It's a shit feeling, and it sucks when you want to be better overnight. But work through it, man. That's what working through it's all about. You have that feeling again, and you feel like you're getting nowhere. That's what working it out is all about. That's what that's all about. So power through it, man. You're going to improve. Other people will see it first. I guarantee you. Luca. Nowadays, do you keep reference at your side for personal work, or just have fun on your own? Keep rocking, like docking, brother. Let's see.
Yes.
I use reference at my side only for professional commercial stuff. I think I talked a little bit about how I use reference. Is I'll practice to it. Like I did this for my tutorial. I'll practice to it and then I'll close it, and then I'll go back and I'll go to the piece I'm working on. And I try and duplicate it, and that's something I practiced over years. That's how I use reference for my stuff, for my personal stuff, because, again, this might be unpopular way, but I feel like if you rely on photos, you're going to be good at drawing photos. You're not going to be an art. That's not art, in my opinion. That's just copying photos. You want to take what you learn from them and inject it into your art. Let's see. Aaron N. How do you stay motivated to keep working on a piece, Brad? Like I get sick of a piece after a few days. I don't know. How much do you like the idea? How badly do you want to see it come to fruition? That's stuff you're going to have to work out. I'm obsessive, man. I'm an obsessive, compulsive, type A personality type guy. I sit down with something to prove. I want to make the best art I can. I want to impress people with it. I want them to like it. I want them to think it's cool to look at. I want to inspire them. And in turn, I want to be inspired. you know, and I want to look at art that I like to look at, you know. For me, it's easy to stay motivated. So it's hard. I guess it's hard for me to say. I guess I could take a question and say, how do you keep moving through a piece when you've lost your kind of oomph? See, I've had a couple of commercial pieces like that where it got tied up and it was real pain enough for it to get done, and I lost all enjoyment for it. Not towards the end, but I had to keep reminding myself, you know, because it got really frustrating. It got really bogged down, and a couple of jobs, and sometimes, and really through nobody's fault. It's just from miscommunication. You know, the IP holder wants it a certain way. The art director got to please everybody, and you know, it's easy to get wires crossed in a situation where you're going through a client who has a license to make games under a name, and you throw a third party into the mix if it's more than just you and an art director, and it will commonly be. A lot of you probably already know that, and when you start getting into this, you're going to discover that you're not just working with one person a lot of the time, and it's going to be, you know, when you're working under those kind of constraints, and sometimes it can get really bogged down, and it can take kind of all the piss and venom out of your motivation. But you got to remember why you're doing it, you know, and that, I feel like that kind of goes back to what do you want to see, and taking the IP, taking the art notes that you're given to produce something commercially, and really putting what you want to see into that, taking within the framework of it that they've given you. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. But that's something you got to practice, because that's going to involve you in visualizing things that you wouldn't normally visualize. But that in itself is a great tool. That's a great thing to practice to. And that's why I like the challenge of commercial work. You're going to be doing stuff you never counted on doing. But I don't know what to tell you. With you get sick after a couple of days working on something. Try and work through. Take breaks. You know, take a couple of breaks, but come back to it. Come back to it. You know, you'd be astonished at what you can do after, you know, by spending more time on something. I mean, I hate to keep pumping my own tutorial, but if you guys have seen that, you've seen like my early work, like the first stuff I've done, and it fucking sucks. Like, I suck out of the box. You know? I mean, like, I've got very little raw talent. Very little raw talent. I mean, look at it. I mean, it's fucking jacked up trash is the first stuff I did. And, but I worked on it to get better. I don't know, man. I sympathize. I sympathize, but examine why you're doing it. You know, if you know, your motivations may be something you need to look at instead of the piece itself. Like, it might not be the piece that you're getting sick and working on. It's maybe you're not getting the feeling back that you think that you should be getting out of it. You know, look at your motives. I mean, I hate to sound like, you know, fucking Dr. Phil or Yoda or anything like that, you know, but you got to examine yourself doing this, because you're putting yourself into this. You're injecting yourself. That's why all art's different. You know, if it was just an exercise that our bodies did, it wouldn't be different. You know, you could. Okay, Raffle Cost. That's a fucking funny name. You know, that sounds like something I wouldn't mind being caught in. You know? Raffle Cost. It's a question. I'm going to an art school, but it's killing me on the inside. Should I drop out and continue to learn, teach, study myself? Man, that's a good question. I'm sure it is killing you. If I had more information, I could probably help. If I knew why it was killing you, I don't know whether it's because is it killing you because it's very constrictive, like, and restrictive?
Let me. I'm waiting to see what he says.
Yeah, that's fine. Gives me a chance to take a hit of this Diet Dr. Pepper. It's cherry. You ever have these things, man?
No, I think it's gross.
Dude, this is guilt-free caffeine, man.
I'm drinking an energy drink. It's nasty. He says a lot of assignments are irrelevant. Unless you couldn't.
I'm sorry, a lot
that.
of assignments what?
Hold on.
Irrelevant. I'd say power through it. That might not be what you want to hear. I'm self-taught. Maybe you want to hear me tell you to drop out. I wouldn't, because the stuff I apply today is from the shit I learned in high school from that guy Jim Wheeler I was talking about. I fucking hated that guy. I should probably call him. I should call him and apologize to him. But oh god, I was such a miserable friggin' teenager. Anyway, and the stuff I learned in Jim's class was space and shape. How to look at things as space and shape. You may think that they're irrelevant, but you're also not in a position to teach art. Maybe you are. I don't know. I'm making an assumption. I'm assuming that since you're going to art school, you're not in a position to teach it. And I would take what they have to offer and leave what you don't like. Do your best to get through it. I've heard a lot of people complain about art school, and I know that these schools are run more like businesses than they are places of education. So it may really suck, and you might have a teacher who really doesn't care about what the hell they're doing, and that does suck. And I don't know if that's the case or not, but tough it out, because you're going to be able to learn a lot from it. Take what you're feeling and turn it around, man. Turn that shit around. Like, this is an opportunity where you're going to be able to learn something from these assholes. Just look at them as a bunch of assholes that you're going to take shit from. Look at it like that. Like, you don't like it and you hate it, but you're going to be damn sure that you get what you can out of these people. You got an opportunity. I would have done art school if I wasn't a shithead. What does this say? If I could go back in time to a young, handsome brat... What are you trying to say? You saying I'm not young and handsome now? What advice would I give him? I really don't appreciate the young, handsome bit, but I'll answer your question anyway, Raffle Cost. Let's see, young, handsome Brad was we'll talk about that some other time. What advice would I give him? Who's that question from? Is that from Raffle Cost?
Oh, that was from me.
That's from you?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll get to that question in a second. But I say stick with it, but I'd say do both. Learn, teach yourself, take what these people have to offer, and make the best out of it. I know it's going to suck, but remember, it's not going to be forever. You're going to graduate this friggin' place. You've got opportunity to learn, and definitely take it, man. Definitely take it. But if it's getting to a point where you feel like you're getting wrung out, for money, you're just getting blood for money, and then I would maybe consider leaving. I don't know. I dropped out. I've dropped out of every fucking education establishment that I've ever gone to. So, or gotten kicked out. So, I can't really sit here and tell you to stay, I guess, with a straight face, because I didn't. But I think you'd be hurting yourself if you did. If I could go back in time and tell the young, handsome Brad what advice would I give him? It's a great question. I'll tell you, nothing. I wouldn't tell a damn thing. Because young, handsome Brad had a lot to learn. And the only way young, handsome Brad was going to learn anything was by getting his ass kicked. And I got my ass kicked big time. All different which ways I got my ass kicked. And if I hadn't gotten my ass kicked by the various women and situations that I got involved with and put myself in, I would not be here where I'm at. And I really love where I'm at. I really believe in failure. I've had a lot of failures in life. I've had a lot of personal failures in life. I failed myself many, many times in life. I failed the people I loved many times when any normal person wouldn't have. But I've learned a lot from them. I'm not saying go out and actively fuck up and fail, but they're invaluable lessons. So if I could go back and tell Brad anything, I'd say shut the fuck up. But by all means, go about, keep doing what you're doing. I talked too much when I was a kid. Talk too much now. Let's see. Domo Arigato question: what are your plans for the future, handsome man? See, this guy knows how to talk to me, Dave. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see it.
He just automatically assumed I was dashing.
I don't believe
correct.
it. I got to see you modeling.
Plans for? I don't know, man. You go check out the tutorial teaser on YouTube. It's a pretty busted up grill right there. Plans for the future. My plans are to keep drawing and to hope to get better. Those are my plans. I'm eager to see what happens. I don't know what's going to happen. I could snuff out tomorrow and be forgotten about. There are no guarantees. So I'm just going to keep trying to get better and succeed as much as I can, and ideally take whatever I learn and share it. Hopefully help other people out, because this is not an easy road to pursue the arts. It's tough. Undead Artist question: are there nights, days where you get almost no sleep and work on your art? Yeah, I would not suggest that. I've had to pull a couple of those nights because I've absolutely had to, because of a deadline. Like the Bungie deadlines were absurd. I had like 4 days. You go and check out my portfolio. It's you'll see it on DeviantArt, or you can also check it out. I think I've got a Halo post on concept art where I'm still waiting clearance for a couple of those. But
yeah, I've seen
that one great. Where I'm sorry.
I was saying those are great.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much. The one where they're in the Warthog, I had to turn that thing around in 4 or 5 days, and I did not. Huh?
Really?
Yeah, 4. Yeah, it was hard, and that was a big piece. I really, oh my God! I mean, I don't know if I can handle that again. It was tough.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. I mean, I had to watch my daughter too. That's the thing. I didn't get to work like 18-hour days. I had to wait till my wife came home. I'd work from 4 to, from 4 or 5 in the afternoon until 3 or 4, and get like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. And thankfully, my daughter takes a nap, so I'd be relying on 2 3-hour naps here and there. It was really, really hard. That's another thing. This lifestyle, man. You got to get rest. You got to eat right. I know the tendency, or the answer seems to be like, rock your ass as hard as you can and just pound energy drinks and, live on fucking Twix and fucking 12-pack of amps. But don't do it. I mean, don't do it, because you'll fuck yourself up. You take care of yourselves, man.
Hey, you're talking about me right now.
Yeah, I know, man. Actually, when I was down in South by Southwest, I was lucky enough to hang out with George Pratt and the Massive Black Guys and John English, and I don't drink, so I had a couple of Red Bulls and seltzer water here and there, but Oh my God, that was a riot. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. I was talking to George Pratt, and he was telling me about a guy he knew who fucking died at 28 from living like that. And that scared the crap out of me because I love energy drinks. I mean, drinking fucking Diet Dr. Pepper right now. I love like the rot gut fucking energy drink. I mean, I love them. But stay off the gas with that, guys. I mean, you got to take care of yourselves, man. And I'm guilty. I still do it, but it's a mantra I'm trying to tell myself. Try and get sleep because your body heals when you sleep. And you guys are young. You're probably still growing. So you grow until you're about 30 years old. And that's when the, oh my fucking God, I fucked up feeling kicks in. And you got to start putting your life together. But yeah, I've had several nights like that, and I'm sure there's going to be more, but plan some recovery time, for sure, undead. Well, actually, you're undead, so you don't have to worry about sleep. Hi, Yoshi, what's up, man? I didn't know he was going to pop onto this.
Yeah, he's been on for a while.
Has he?
Yeah.
I love Hideyoshi, man. Awesome speed painter. He's awesome. Go check him out. Came from a traditional background. Your pencil drawings are awesome. Thanks, buddy. Since working for Fully Digital, do you feel about drawing traditional nowadays without any help of the undo, liquefy, history tool, etc.? Do you feel a little more insecure about it now, or do you think it's irrelevant because all that matters is the final product? No, I don't think that all that matters is the final product. I think the final product matters, but I don't think it's all that matters. I bought a little piece of crap sketchbook at Walmart before. I live out of Walmart, by the way. I am not shishi at all. I'm very much a lowbrow guy. I like big tits, cheeseburgers, and special effects. So anyways, I went to Walmart, and I got a piece of crap drawing pad, and I took it with me to do some traditional drawing. And thank God, I mean, I thought I'd have to use the pieces of paper to cry in because I thought that my traditional skills were just going to totally blow. I did okay. I sat there waiting for my plane and like was practicing to this huge light box advertisement for the casinos that are down here on the coast. I did okay on it. It felt good. It still feels okay to do traditional. I would love to do more. I would love to be able to have the time to get into oil paints and be able to do this like the real way. There's still a part of me that feels like that digital art's cheating, I guess, probably because I come from traditional. But I mean, really, that's not. It's not cheating. It's just a different tool. But I actually don't. I think I keep my fingers on Control Alt Z more than I use those than probably drawing. I undo a lot. I need the safety net for a lot of reasons. One of them because it's through mistakes. And I know people hate this term, happy mistakes, but you do get them. I mean, through undoing fuck-ups or repairing fuck-ups, it can turn into something great. And so, again, capitalizing on your failures. That's why I like digital art so much, because you can capitalize on your failures. And that's not necessarily true in traditional art. The paper is only going to wear it down so much. And, there's only going to be so much where you can, use a rag on your canvas to pull stuff out before it's just going to look like complete ass. And but no, man, no, I definitely don't think the end result is all that matters. I think it's how you get there that really matters. I guess when it comes to the client's always right. So I guess when it comes to the client, the final product always matters more, because that's what they're paying for. But when it comes to yourself and your own set of benchmarks and standards, your own art, improving on your own time, it's it's totally the journey that matters. It's how you get to point A and point B. Hey, man, thanks for the question, man. Hopefully I'll get to meet you one day. See, I'm sending you compliments because they were coming from all over the Brad. You helped me a lot tonight and really motivated me to start getting my ass kicked even harder. So thanks, Handsome Brad. I think I like this Handsome Brad stuff.
It's a new name. No more Crypt Crawler.
Yeah. Luke, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, man. I'm grateful to have the opportunity. I'm glad I've got something to offer. I spent a long time in life having nothing to offer because I was just looking for what I could get out of life. I wasn't looking for what I could put into it. So I appreciate that, man. I get a lot out of this, too. Undead Artist question. Having a family of your own as your main income from nothing but freelance, were there times when an outside job was needed? Oh, no, man. I just earn money my wife spends. My wife's the breadwinner right now. I mean, she's a teacher. Actually, she's a speech pathologist here at the local school. So hell no is my income what we're sustaining. If that was true, I'd be no.
Craig Mullins.
No, we would be in tough times. No, man, I owe so much, everything, to my wife. I mean, if it wasn't for her, she believing in me, I wouldn't be here. I would not be here because she knew what she was marrying, man. She knew I was a fucking hopeless mess who could do nothing but draw. And this is a slow burn. Very few people are going to get discovered and blow up overnight. And I don't think that that's me, and it hasn't been me so far. To gain momentum and start earning cash, really getting good money for this it's something that's going to be investment of time. So, no, I've not been the main source of income. My wife has been. Thankfully, I've been able to pick up the weight and slack around here by watching my daughter, so we don't have to pay for daycare. But yeah, there were times where I had outside jobs before I got married. But with my family now, no. I'm pretty much daddy daycare, and at night I work. At night and weekends, so I work on my contracts. So yeah, there's always been an outside job that was needed. So, I don't know how this is going to sound, but if you've got loved ones who believe in you, and they know this isn't a pipe dream or a hobby, and they know that you're dead serious about them, say, look, I need time to get better. And the quicker I get better, the quicker that I can start getting work and start contributing. And now I'm able to contribute. And now when I get a check, it's what I do in 2 weeks, what takes my wife to earn. So now that I'm contributing, it's a great feeling to be able to build into that. So yeah, if you've got loved ones who believe in you and are willing to help you out, take advantage of it, because it'll be just as good as school, but you've got to use that time. Refraction. Uh-oh, my daughter's upset about something. Hold on a second. I'll be right back.
Okay.
You okay?
Yeah, this is an awesome interview. It's just going on and on forever. It's too bad you can't hear me.
Poor thing. It's been tough winter on her, man. She's been wanting to go outside really bad. A little bit upset about that. Okay, was the smudge tool technique discussed yet? Can you talk about it? Sure. Smudge tool technique. I'd love to get specifics from you, what you mean, but because it's a very deep tool. I use it for everything. It's how I get level of rendering that I like, and that I expect from my own work. Let's see what I see. You're right. I see a little pencil down. See, I'm learning. I'm a tool using ape. See the little pencil writing right there. I know that something's happening there.
Yeah, I'm waiting to send you another one. There you go.
Wait for it. Oh, okay, next question. Okay. Smudge tool. To use it, I don't know if you checked out the tutorial or not, but and I hate to plug it. I'm not going to hate to get your money, but I hate to keep plugging it. But That's the best way, the most in-depth way I discuss it. I'd have to show you. I wish there was a way for me to show you right now. I would. Of course, I'd charge you $100, but I would show. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't charge you. But basically, use the smudge tool like you would a brush. Use different brushes. It's an incredibly deep tool. How I use it to get the level of rendering that I really like is that I work at intensely high magnifications, and I'll pack the form in. That's the only way I can describe it. It's more akin to sculpting. It would be like if you were sculpting something, and if you were like packing in the clay to get the shape. That's basically what I do on a very small level, on a very microscopic level. But I use it for everything. It's excellent for pulling those values around and getting skin tones. But you want to build on it. You just don't want to rely on it. And that's something I really feel like I should stress more in the tutorial, is that you're going to want to use low opacity, dodge, and texture and paint brushes to build little textures on that. And so you can really exploit the dodge tool. Like I talk about in the tutorial, I used it out of pure desperation because I couldn't oil paint for shit, and I wanted to do what Corbin did, and the smudge tool gave me the effect that I wanted, and I started working exclusively with it for years and years until I could pry what I wanted out of it, because it was the closest I could get to the look I wanted, and play with it. Use it in combination with color, like a low opacity color, and build into it. Pull it around with a brush. Use a texture brush. You guys all know what you're doing now. I mean, you know how to get basic shapes. Build it up with basic shapes. A little bit of color, a little bit of value in the right spots, and pull it around. Try it. I would say try it between 40. I'd say maybe like 30, between 35 and 50%. You want to keep it out that strength and play with it. That's the best way you're going to find something for you if you want to use it. If you like the smudge tool technique, the best way you're going to find is for your own use. Kind of taking the basics that I talk about in the two and experimenting with it. I can't wait to see people who are going to do with it, because I know that there's some sick sons of bitches out there who are going to rock it, and they're totally going to rock it and make me look like a fucking amateur. And I'm looking forward to the ass kicking, because that means that I'm going to have to get better. I'm going to have to do better. But experiment with it if you can. Is there one movie cover you'd like to do that's already been done, or maybe from a novel or book that you'd like to see in a movie? Struzen's the man, but maybe it's time for dethrone. I don't know if you can dethrone Struzen. I'd love to do movie posters, but I think a lot of movie posters are essentially photo manipulations now, sadly. It doesn't mean they don't look good. I think some of them are illustrated. And see, the one movie I'd like to do that's already been done, or maybe from a novel or book. Man, that's a great question. Shit. Movie cover already been done. I'm gonna have to think about that. I'm gonna have to think about that. That's a great question. I hate to say I'll get back to you, but maybe. Fuck. I don't know. I want to say like a horror movie. Creature of the Black Lagoon, maybe. Frankenstein. I always had ideas about that. I could really, especially Creature of the Black Lagoon. He's probably one of my favorite movie monsters. Talk about a creepy idea, man. I first saw that as a kid, and like they show him swimming along the bottom of the river. It's, oh god, it made my skin crawl. Probably because we had a lake and shit, when I was growing up, and they dared me to swim out to this dock, and I made the mistake of looking down underwater. And if you guys have ever swam in a lake, it's dark, man. Shit is dark, and I saw like a freaking snake swimming underneath me at the bottom. And needless to say, I left like a brown trail in the water as I was heading out to the dock. Yeah, so Creature of the Black Lagoon like scares the crap out of me, so I'd love to do that. But I don't. It's hard to say because there's a lot of things I don't think I could do justice. Like I'd love to do Blade Runner, but or Alien, but I would probably have to use like 3D to get like the tech stuff. Tech is a weakness of mine. I'm trying to work into my own time. I'm getting better at it, but I'm not as my stuff is not of the caliber that the guys who use SketchUp and do paint overs. I can't get past that. I can't get past the fact that I'd be painting over a 3D object, and I would get disgusted with myself. I've had to do that for a couple of. You don't like using 3D either, Dave?
No.
I fucking can't stand it, and you're gonna have to do it for the last bungee job I did. I had to do it because
Really?
of the time constraint.
It's a pride thing with me.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pride thing, and that probably holds me back. Kind of goes back to what Hideyoshi was saying about, what he was saying about, the end result being all that matters. That's kind of true when it comes to commercial work. And a lot of you guys probably already know that. And I had to use 3D. Now, granted, it was for the Edge magazine spot. And granted, it was only for the gun and for the helicopter. But I hated using it. I'm like, oh my god, I feel like such a fucking tool doing a 3D paint over. But tech is a weak spot for me, and the covers I'd want to do would probably involve that. It would be like Alien or actually The Fog. I'd love to do a remake of the Fog poster. Fog poster is actually pretty cool how they did it. If you ever watched The Fog, get the commentary and check out how they did all that stuff back then, man, because they didn't have any of the shit we had. It was all manual. They had to tear the letter. No, actually, that was for The Thing. I'm sorry. You go back, you watch The Thing, and watch like the behind-the-scenes shit, where like the movie teaser trailer was like the letters of The Thing being torn. It was basically being torn out of a black background. I can't describe it. Go check it out for yourself. But So yeah, The Thing. I'd love to do a movie poster for The Thing. Although Drew Struzan did that one.
It's awesome too.
Yeah, it was. It's so simple. I mean, that's the thing, is that it doesn't have any sick anatomy but the idea, his idea is creepy and cool for that. Let's see, Mandrick. Question. Handsome Brad. See? You're learning, people. That's what I'm talking about. Handsome Brad. All right. What do you think separates your work from your peers? For example, what do you bring to a piece that a client would hire you for as opposed to another artist, in your opinion? Thanks, man. Love your work. Thank you, man. Thanks for the question. I appreciate you. I appreciate the interest. What do I think separates me from my peers? I don't know. I think everyone brings their own stuff to the table. I think my stuff. I don't think that. I don't think. I think there are some people who would definitely hire somebody else over me for a particular work, take Darkin's work, for example. I think he would be chosen over me for a particular IP, because he gets a really cool grunge, some crunchy stuff going on there with his stuff, and he can pull stuff off that I don't necessarily do, or I'm trying to introduce, my work is very clean. I'm actually trying to dirty it up a little bit. So I don't know if it's I don't think it separates maybe in the sense everyone's got a different style. So I guess my style probably separates me from my peers, but everybody's style separates themselves from each other. And I think style is important, actually. I think when you get something like style means that you put your own vision or yourself into your work. Dave's got his own style. You can see Dave Rapoza stuff a mile away. And that's because he puts himself into his work. And that's how you're going to separate yourself. Yeah, sure. It's to hit all the basics is important. Make sure your foundations are all there. Anatomy, lighting. Make sure that all that stuff is there. But don't forget to put you in it, because that's what's going to separate you. You can copy pictures till the day is long. But they're going to look like copy pictures. And that's kind of what I was talking about. And that's that's why I hate using reference so much. Less now. I actually, I've gotten back into my practice. I kind of stopped the whole practicing the reference, but now I'm starting to practice to it more, and I really enjoy it. I go through phases where I hate it and love it. But I don't even know if it's an either or thing. Because I'm not really sure why these companies hire people. They'll come to me because they like me I don't think they think I'm fundamentally a better artist. I think it's because they maybe like my style. So I really feel like that these companies look for style. I really, at least that's the sense that I get. But I don't know. I spend a lot of time on rendering, and I get a lot of really great compliments on it. I spend a lot of time on that. So I guess if there was one thing that may make me different on a very a fundamental level, like when it comes to all the foundation stuff, like composition, lighting, et cetera, I think maybe rendering, because I spend so much time on it, might set me aside a little bit. Undead artist, Handsome Brad. Yeah, see, these people know how to know how to do business.
It's catching on.
I know. I'm gonna have to go back to maybe I have to go back to all my sites now and when you put in your real name, put in Handsome Brad Rigney. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah. And when it's not too late to change my Skype name. Okay. Handsome Brad, do you recommend doing contests regularly for beginners like Concept Arts, Chow, or CG Hub's drawing jams and stuff? Yeah, I would. I wish I had more time for contests. I'm dying to do some Chow shit. I'm dying to do CG Hub drawing jams. I wish I had the time. I would love to do shit like that. I think it's great. You get in there, you mix it up. There can be an ugly side to it, where you compete, and that's where you're going to see that's where the assholes are going to expose themselves, because they're going to take every opportunity they can to crap on your work and build themselves up. So there is an ugly side to that, to the competition of it, but the amount that you can learn out of it is awesome. Putting yourself in those positions is a great way, I think, to practice for the pressures of commercial work. Because you're going to be under the gun. I mean, you're going to be drawing with a fucking gun to your head. This has to be uploaded by 4 a.m. to the FTP. You're going to run into shit like that. And, especially with different time zones. Bungee Piece was like that. I had to, you're going to be running the clock a lot. And I was drawing until 4 a.m. to the last minute. I could submit that thing because it had to go to print, and it was in Britain. So yeah, I definitely do those. You'll get to know people, you'll make some great connections, and you'll learn a lot doing those drawing jams. I think the Chow stuff in particular is really sweet. Handsome Brad, thank you. When doing studies, do you recommend giving yourself a particular amount of time to finish? And if you don't finish in that amount of time, call it done and move to the next, or should you always finish no matter how long it takes? I would say no, don't finish no matter how long it takes. You're going to want to do stuff like 30-second studies or 10-second studies. How much of it can you nail? How much of the life can you capture in 30 seconds? Those are great exercises. I would do more of those if I had the time. And sometimes I still do. Sometimes I'll crank it out here and there. I never keep them. I guess I probably should, but you know, I'm one of these people, I can't multitask, and so having to juggle a folder, I like to keep shit clean too. So having a folder of trash of drawings that are incomplete, that's not something I do. I probably should hold on to it. But yeah, I would I definitely do those exercises because they will teach you to focusing on capturing that quick snap of a line. You know, you look at the profile of, like, you know, you follow the profile of a human being from the side. It's like an S with a little squiggle at the back. You know, and you kind of try to nail that. You try to get that. So you see people who are really good. Like Hideyoshi does that. I mean, I don't know how long or how little he spends on his stuff, but his stuff can be. He gets really quick gestural things, and they work. I mean, you look at it and it reads immediately. His stuff has a lot of fresh energy in it, and you know that's his style, and he's excellent at doing that. And you know, that initial read is very important, I feel like. And sometimes that's the cool thing about, if you look at speed painting, you know, is that I think it's invaluable. I'm the kind of person, though, I'll go in and I'll render the crap out of it, though. That's how I am. But for practice, definitely. Let's see. Any more questions?
Yeah. I actually have to go soon. I don't want to go. I want to stay here and talk to you forever.
No, that's fine, man. That's fine. I want to put everyone to sleep with my enchanting voice.
Okay, one more question.
Okay. Tipo Band. Question: whom would your dream artist be to do a collaboration piece, if it were possible in the future? Keep dishing out the delicious work, handsome Brad. Thank you, Tipo Band. Okay. Who want to do a collaboration with? And I don't know how this is going to sound, but I actually hate collaborations. I actually fucking hate collaborations because I like just to see the artist. Like, I don't want to see another artist mixed in with it. It hurts my brain. I'm not able to multitask. I sit there trying to pick out who's doing what instead of just enjoying the piece. So I would probably do a collaboration with Handsome Brad. Me and Handsome Brad are going to do a collaboration. I get probably the fantasy would be, I mean, of course, Corbin. I mean, I would love to do a collaboration if I had to. If I was like held at gunpoint to do a collaboration, I would do it with Corbin, just to meet him. I don't think I'm ever going to meet him. From what I understand, he's a big time hermit, and at least actually George Pratt told me that. And I sent him a couple notes. I never heard back from him. So yeah, I would love to meet him, draw with him. Actually, I wouldn't mind doing a collaboration with Massive Black Guys. Actually, I think that would probably be pretty cool, like a group thing. But I know you guys probably got to go, and next time hopefully I'll be able to tell you a little bit about that. What it was like meeting those guys. Maybe someday in the future we'll have a part 2. But
that would be awesome. This whole thing was awesome, man.
It was great, man. I loved it. Thank you guys for having me.
Well, do you have any final words for everybody? Like anything just to leave with all these people who are studying every day?
Let's see. Final words. Keep drawing. Move forward. Keep drawing. Stay tough, because ass beatings are coming. You know, and you're gonna get ass beatings in this. This is not an easy life to choose. Starting out can be rough unless you're got an incredible gift and you're discovered overnight. I don't even know if that happens anymore. Maybe it does, but the beatings are coming. So stay with it. You're gonna you're going to come into some dark days. You know, some not all, it might not be true for all of you, but you might come into those times where things are really tough, really fucking tough. Stick with it. You will not regret it. Stick with it and keep running.
Awesome. Everybody's so pumped. They're all talking about how much they loved it.
Sweet. Oh, hopefully I'll see you guys on forums and stuff like that. And Dave, thanks a million again, man, for having me. This was a great time.
Yeah, and if you like this, you should check out his download on conceptart.org. Download it. You appreciate the man talking? Give back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give
Yeah.
back.
You want to see my big stupid head keep talking? Then buy that sucker.
All right, well, everybody, you know, I'll see you all tomorrow, Crimson Daggers, and I hope you're all energized now, because that was an awesome interview. And thanks so much, Brad, for everything.
Hey, no problem, man. God bless you guys, and I'll see you around.
All right, goodbye, everybody.